Hey guys, Karaoke here. Yesterday we talked about how to get runes and sigils for your armor and weapons in order to increase your damage and efficiency. Today we're going to talk about something else, and that is consumables. Consumables can be weirdly controversial. There's a lot of people who say up and down, I don't need consumables, it's a waste of gold, there's absolutely no reason to run them, and I think they are very wrong. Consumables come in two forms, food and utility, and they stack in damage, and they can give you extra stats, special effects, bonus damage against certain types of enemies. In general, they'll help you do a lot more damage or maybe give you some extra survivability. Now, people tend to not like these because there's a cost associated with them, but even cheap food and utility can do a fair bit of extra damage. Now, I did an example here using a test golem, running both a rare and exotic staff with and without consumables, and what you'll see is even cheap consumables that I get for about 5 silver a piece, they last for 30 minutes, so you're looking at less than 20 silver per hour to run these, is about a 6% damage boost. So for less than 20 silver an hour, you can do the same extra damage, actually a little bit more, as a Sigil of Force. And those are just the cheap consumables. And if you're really trying to be efficient, you can get consumables specific to dungeon paths. There's a vendor who will sell them to you, or you can just get them off the trading post. These consumable potions will give you 10, 9, or less % damage boosts. The ones that give you a 9% damage boost are as cheap as 4 copper. So for 4 copper per half an hour, you can be doing 9% extra damage. Extra food on top of that will do even more. And that's just from eating these little consumables. Now, what you'll notice is, I graphed this out here of my fireball damage. The extra boost you get from consumables can actually cover about half of the damage difference from moving from a rare to exotic staff. So it really is a significant amount. That 6% really does matter, and you should always be running consumables. Now, there are some cheap options. I'd recommend looking at plates of steak and asparagus, which give 80 power and 60 precision, as well as sharpening stones. The 5-3 ones are fine, hardened sharpening stones. And I'd look into the dungeon potions as well. Dungeons that you run a lot like COF, it's worth going and picking up a stack of those potions. Again, at 4 copper a piece, it's definitely not breaking your bank, and you're going to be considerably more effective using them than you would be if you were being cheap. I think proper dungeon etiquette is always to run at least semi-decent consumables, and I always grimace a little bit when members of my guild or when pugs we pick up aren't running them. They're so cheap and they're so easy to get. You really have no excuse. Get the extra 6, 10, 15% damage by running cheap consumables, and play like you mean it. Okay guys, that's it for this week. This week was all meant to get you guys prepped and ready to go for your first dungeon runs. If you have questions, do ask them in the comments. Next week, we're going to talk about all the different ways you can get started learning the paths and actually running them. I will see you guys there.